Hey Deviants, welcome back to another episode of Deviant TV with Micah Marquez and me, Leon. Today we're talking about queer dating. I guess let's just get right into it. What's your dating style, Micah?
My dating style. So I typically practice this theory of consensual non-monogamy right now. I believe in dating, and that means like in knowing myself, I like give myself the opportunity to get to know other people and whether or not they really match up to who I am, and they can really contribute to my life's goals. I don't believe in making a commitment until it's right for the other person and myself, and I love myself and know myself well enough to like give myself that space, time, and confidence before I go in.
All right. See me, I'm the opposite. I don't want to say juggle. You said I can't consensual non-monogamous. I can't do that because I'm not going to keep track with people like that. And I feel like I might get jealous sometimes, or I might do the wrong thing, give them the wrong impression. How do you stay out of the fuckboy territory? Because you've described what I would say in layman's terms as hoeing.
Yeah.
But I can also see where people get attached, and it might be a detachment thing versus you being an actual fuckboy.
Yeah. I appreciate the question, to be honest. I do, I guess just taking one step back, when I say consensual non-monogamy, that's just referring to like how I do sex and dating. But also in how I do dating, I see myself as a very complex individual. I think we all are. And I just give my social, spiritual, financial, mental selves, as well as sexual, all the attention that they deserve, right? So, within that, I think that the persons whom I interact with have got to also align to those parts of me, right?
Man, get it.
They got to get it. And not perfectly, I understand that there's supposed to be compromise when it comes to dating. When it comes to partnership, not dating. And so I guess it's just like figuring out who is worth that compromise. I forget, what is the woman's name? Eartha Kitt. I am a bit very much her. Compromise. Why should a man come in my life and I have to compromise?
Because I know when you said compromise, your face was like, I'm just going to say this, but I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. And I believe that there will be those persons in our lives who we compromise for. I think family are our first sort of like test of that, right? You learn to love imperfect people and you make compromises for them. But as long as those people that you love are on that journey and going along with you, constantly learning and growing along with you how to love you and you learning how to love them, I think that that's okay. I just don't like to get stuck in the notions of constantly compromising self and giving. I'm a very giving person. That's the other part of this. Like I am a very intense and intentional lover. And I think throughout much of my 20s, I gave so much of my time, attention that I should have been giving to myself away to these guys because I was chasing this like theory and this dream of a Prince Charming and a happily ever after. And I just think that like now I give myself that same energy and I've seen it to be so much more fruitful.
And it's crazy because we want love and a relationship to look a certain way. But I know for queer folks, we don't have a roadmap and it's kind of hard to follow. So compromise is education in our case. Dating is different for millennials across sexualities, across the board. 65% of unmarried millennials have found themselves on dating apps.
Yeah.
But since apps are such a safe space for queer people, 55% of those people are LGB, and not the T because they didn't have trans stats for some reason. And out of the 55%, I think it was 28% found themselves in long-term relationships compared to the 11% of straight folks that found themselves in long-term relationships from dating apps.
Wow.
So yeah, we're in a new age, and us millennials are, that age ranges from 20-something to 30-something. I find even dating a generation up, like someone in their 40s or someone in their, is so different. Like 40-year-olds, they want to pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah.
I'm like, please just text me.
Yeah.
The younger kids, they want to do things like PDA, and which I'm comfortable with, but I wasn't always. So that's a fun little caveat.
Well, Leon, what is your ideal date? Describe that
My
to me.
ideal deal is really simple. I like dinner and a movie.
Okay.
That is it.
What kind of movie? Are we talking action, romance?
Any kind of, I want to feel taken care of, so I want to get to know that person, and I feel like the restaurant they take you to and the movie they introduce you to, and it's not even that kind of movie. Like, are we going to see an independent movie? That fun little stuff where you can see someone's personality on a simple palette. So, but I am not currently dating right now because I'm out so much. I feel like I just have these relationships that I enjoy, and I can't give that attention to someone else unless they really come and take it from me.
Hey, Deviants. I am here with Brian Hextall, the life coach and relationship love expert. So, Brian, I know you to be a life coach. I also know you to be in a long-lasting relationship. I know that we come from a community and just a world full of people who are looking to obtain love in their lives. How did you do it?
Well, I guess like you were saying, it's definitely a partnership, right? So I don't do it alone, but it's a conscious decision that I make every day. There's no secret to it. There's no magic ingredient. And I think what has got us this far is a constant communication, a constant want to, and I think at the end of the day, we both are still vested in each other, and that's what keeps us present. You know, that's what keeps us working at it.
We were in a conversation earlier, and we were bargaining between this idea of relentless self-love, where I find myself often. We were quoting, God, I always forget her name, Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
And when she's laughing, and she's like, compromise. A man comes into my life and I have to compromise. I often find myself there. And the constant seeking of love. How do you establish when you have met the right person to begin that process of communication and compromise with?
No, I think it starts with having that constant communication with yourself, right? And when you understand that who you are and what you're looking for and making sure that you're a whole individual, you don't even have to look for that person. People just start showing up in your universe based on what you're putting out, right?
Yeah.
And you'll know that this is somebody that I want to build with, because you'll feel that this is someone who wants the best for me, and I can see myself better in myself because of this person. And I think that's one of the reasons to get in a relationship anyway, you know? I don't know too many people who get into a relationship, a long-lasting relationship, with the agenda to not be in it, right? And not to evolve and to not change and to not grow. That wouldn't be a reason to get into a relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that there are so many people who experience failed relationships, and that mourning process that folks go through. Like, how do you, advise people to reconcile with that and then get to that place of like being able to love again?
And so I think it's probably definitely the coach in me, where I always get people to look at themselves first. Like, I'm the coach who's going to be hard on you, I'm going to ask you to do a lot of self-reflection. How does you show up? Were you communicating your wants and your needs? Were you honoring your agreements? And I guess what I find out, there's so often we don't honor our agreements. We don't honor who we are as individuals. And so when you're in a relationship and you're not honoring yourself or those agreements, it's going to come to an end, because people are different, right? And your partner is going to be different from you. He may think different from you, but you have to be willing to honor those agreements and honor yourself, even in those moments of differences.
Yeah. Some things that we've explored, right? Because I don't want to be limiting at all in our conversation.
Yeah.
Some things that we've explored in conversation around queer dating are ideas of like consensual non-monogamy, even the ideas of like polyamory and openness. How does one first let me begin by asking, is that a realistic reality that couples can attain love that is not singular?
Absolutely. And I get that question a lot, very often. It's more so about understanding the terms of the relationships is between you and the person, or you and the other people in the relationship. And when you can focus on the people that are in the relationship, it can look any way you want it to look. It can look any color, any size, any way you want it to look. And I think if you continue to remember that you are involved with either that other person or those other people, then the terms and what you call it, it kind of goes by the wayside. It's more so it's more so what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. I still, and I think it's my own stubbornness, right? Like trying to understand. You're kind of coaching me right now. This is my free session,
Okay.
right?
It's a safe space.
Yes, thank you for that. Because I think in relationships, I often want to love, right? But then there are these places we reach where it feels like what's being asked of me is no longer serving who I am. And so I find myself between a rock and a hard place. And it's like, if I make the compromise, and I've compromised myself, and if the relationship doesn't work out, then I end up regretting that.
Yep.
How do you, and I guess, I feel like I'm asking the same question, maybe redundantly. How do you know if something is really like just right for you versus if you need to be leaving it?
Again, it's about understanding yourself. Like for me, I'm very relationship oriented. That's just who I am as a person. So I'm more than likely I'm going to be in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I can only control myself, my actions, my behavior, right? Yeah. And before I even seek to be in a relationship, I need to make sure that I'm whole, right? Yeah. And so when I meet a partner, and just like anything else in life, you might like steak today, you might like hamburger tomorrow. Just because you get in a relationship, that doesn't go away. Yeah. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you're only going to be sexually attracted to one person. Yeah. It doesn't even mean you're going to like that person you're in a relationship every day. Yeah. And I think the key is that if I'm going to say that I'm going to be in a relationship with you, or you and 3 other people, we're going to have some type of agreement in place, and I need to honor that agreement. And then the minute something changes for me, then I need to come to you and we need to renegotiate that agreement. Yeah. I think it becomes a thing where you start to compromise yourself when you say, you know what, I'm not going back to the table to negotiate. I had an agreement and I'm going to stick with that agreement. And that's not honoring yourself. Maybe if I go back to the table, my partner's going to think this, he's going to think that, so I'm scared to have the conversation, and then you don't have the conversation. You're muting your voice, you're not honoring yourself, and now you find yourself compromising who you are versus compromising in a relationship. Because when I have that conversation with you, you're going to come with your ask, you're going to come with your non-negotiables, and I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah. Hopefully we can meet in the middle and we can compromise and we can come up with new terms for our relationship. Yeah. That's how you honor the relationship and honor yourself as well.
Communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. And transparency, right? You can't do it without it.
Yeah. And I think that has probably been a failing of mine, that sort of self-development in the past, right? I have a history of dating men who were always older than myself. I always wanted to be able to look up to someone and seek their wisdom, seek their guidance. But along with that, I always sort of landed myself in predicaments where I felt like I was being controlled. And so I felt like I would either they would cut the communication off because they were like, look, this is what I said is what I said. I would feel like I was either being manipulated, so I would stop communicating. But getting off of me, what are some of the common...
No, we're going to stay on you for a second.
Okay, sure, yeah, absolutely.
So I heard something that was very key when you were just talking, and you mentioned that you looked for someone that you can look up to. Yeah. And I think for any successful relationship, you have to see your partner as your equal, right? And so if you're going into a situation looking for someone to look up, you're inadvertently saying that you're less than. And if you're saying that you're less than, you're going to show up that way in a relationship. And it's going to manifest in ways that's probably don't benefit you, which is why you probably often feel control, because you're probably not voicing your opinion as much. You're probably not doing what you like to do as much because you're already thinking that this person has one up on me in experience.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me reach that revelation, because I definitely never correlated the two. And I just knew that there was something wrong. And I've definitely been in this state of just happiness and being single. Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's okay to be with a partner that inspires you, who motivates you, and who want to see you change and evolve as well. But, that's, again, an equal partner, not necessarily someone's a little bit more experienced than you are.
Yeah, yeah. What other common sort of threads do you run into when you have folks coming to you looking for guidance? And
patience. and
Something I also
consistent.
lack.
Consistency. So often clients will mention that, someone they're dating isn't consistent.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if you're just dating someone and we're just getting to know each other, and over the last 3 weeks we've been hanging out, and maybe on the fourth week I don't talk to you as much, I've only known you for 4 weeks, and so an expectation level of me talking to you every day on the fourth week, because that's what I did on the first 3 weeks, doesn't mean that I'm now inconsistent. It doesn't mean that something's changed. It could be this fourth week I'm busy. Maybe work is a little bit more busy, or school's a bit more busy at the time. And so I think so easy we are ready to throw in the towel and say, hey, this guy's not doing what I need him to do. This is not looking the way I want it to look. And so I don't want to give it any more time. And a lot of times we take things personal, and all this stuff is going on in the beginnings of relationships. Yeah. And so to get from week 1 to month 1 to year 1, it takes some patience. I mean, it's about getting to know a person, right?
Yeah.
We're all multifaceted, and we all have a lot of different things that's going on with us. And most people have a lot of junk that's going on with them as well. Yeah. And so if you're taking the time to get to know somebody, to say that this is going to be someone I'm going to share my life with. I'm not just talking about somebody who's going to be your partner or someone who's going to be your future husband. If I'm spending an hour out of my time with you, I am sharing my life with you. And so if you develop a little patience to let that, curate into something more, then have the patience. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel, which is probably why, I've been in this relationship that I'm in for so long. It's more so about just understand things aren't going to always be the same. Things change, and have some patience and some understanding. That's one of the biggest keys that I would say to anybody. Just give it a chance to happen.
Yeah, I know that right now in our community there are alarming rates of fuckboys, as well as very serious issues like domestic violence. You often have heightened testosterone meeting each other. And folks meeting each other in competition. What is, one word of advice that you would give folks to go about disarming themselves and approaching that place of healing?
The one word I would say is love. I think with all the nuances and the things that go on in our community, we get away from that word so quickly. But I truly believe it's the core of how we all are made. We're made from love. And when you make decisions based out of love, it just seems to bring harmony to any situation, in the sense that 9 times out of 10, if you're acting out of anger or rage or anything outside of love, it's going to yield a result for you that's unhealthy and counterproductive to what you're trying to do. And so if you remember that, even the person that you may like the least, I'm not even saying that you hate them, not even saying that's an enemy, even they deserve love. And when you can kind of think about that, it really is, it serves yourself. It's a way of taking care of yourself. Yeah. So if you can remember how to get back to love when you're making your decisions on even how to conduct yourself as an individual or in a relationship, it's almost always is going to serve you better than anything else. Yeah. Just love,
So where can we go to find you?
Well, okay. You guys know that I'm on Instagram at Life Calligraphy. Also, I have a website, and that is Life Calligraphy as well. And all my contact information is on both pages, and that is LIFEAL. Should I say it again?
C-A,
I can't even spell that myself.
No,
it's LIFECALLIGRAPHY.com. I get a lot of questions on how that's spelled, so I figure I would say so.
Gotcha.
But all my information is at both places. So.
Awesome. Sounds
How do you
interesting.
feel about dating outside of the race?
I've definitely done it. Again, I think this is with everything with me and my understanding of just sort of life as a Black and brown queer person. I always identify as both Black and brown because I'm a quarter Filipino. But yeah, I think the intricate history that we have with racial majorities in this country kind of plays a part again on all of my different aspects in life, including my dating life. So I've dated someone who was outside the race before, and I'm fine with that.
How far outside?
No, it was.
Did they come to the barbecue?
I think he would be invited to the barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you.
and I'm perfectly fine. I think it's amazing to like be able to have a palette that is open and not limit yourself to somebody based on race. Like race, technically I'm a sociology major and graduated from college, and race is a completely social construct.
Yeah.
But while it is a social construct, there are very real ramifications that people face, and we have histories, generations of trauma and history based on that. And so we can't just sort of ignore it at the same time that we pay attention to it. We also can't be limited by it, I think, in our love lives, So at the same time, I guess in talking about this, I believe in Black love, and I believe that it is a radical thing to see Black people loving each other, and especially, as queer couples, same sex, same gender loving, Black folks choosing to love one another, and brown folks choosing to love
and that's hard because you're taught not to.
Yeah.
And we bring a lot of trauma with us into this dating pool. A lot of trauma that we don't even know is trauma.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine dating someone in their childhood, they didn't even get to be themselves until they were in their 20s and 30s. A lot of people have never even had partners or relationships, are still looking and don't know how to be.
Yeah.
And looking from the outside in, I'm like, you're trying to control a lot of what this other person is instead of you being who you can be and letting them be what they can be and just meeting in the middle. Some people just want to be in a relationship to be with someone.
Oh my God, I cannot tell you how long I have interacted with things like that, or in my own life, navigating that as well. I think that we quantify so much of our life's worth sometimes and whether or not we're in a relationship. And we don't realize that we are enough. And so one of the other things I certainly wanted to bring up as we talk about queer dating is the fact that it is okay to be single. You can be single and thrive and be happy.
And it's fun to be single. Like when you don't have to, for me, being single is not having to answer to anyone.
Yeah.
And also, I'm also a person who is, kind of shy. It takes me a minute for it to warm up and let people get to know me. And I found that even in friendships. Like I found being able to get closer with my friends gives me a model to get closer with other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like my ideal partnership would be someone who is my friend. Before I could, I couldn't find myself calling a lover a friend. I felt like they had to be separate worlds.
Yeah.
But now I know that the only way that works long term is that someone you want to laugh with, someone you want to go on vacation with, and sleeping together is the perk.
Yeah, you asked me a question earlier, how to delineate between the ideas of detachment versus being a fuckboy, and I think a lot of it goes to, a lot of it gets clouded, right? Because if you understand the issues with attachment, right? A lot of people think that attachment is love. They think that going into an interaction with a set goal in mind it means that it's okay to be like upset with this other person if they don't accomplish that goal with you.
Come on,
me in navigating actual love and a love life, I understand that I go into interactions without a goal in mind, but rather genuinely getting to know the person in front of me, genuinely appreciating the time and honoring the time and attention and energy that we share together. I think that detachment teaches that. There's actually this amazing book that I read, and it's kind of versed a lot of my love life, both sexual and social. It's called The Ethical Slut by Dossie Easton and Janet Hardy. And in that book, it talks about how our society teaches what are called starvation economies. We think that love is limited. And so along with that, I gotta hurry up and find my lover who is the one for me. And then we have to practice monogamy. God forbid you ever experience anybody else sexually or anybody experiences your sexual body. And it is such a limiting and suffocating experience. And so people are not thoroughly getting to know themselves. They're not thoroughly giving themselves the opportunity to explore all that life and love and sex and socializing and dating has to offer. There's a big world out here. There's so many amazing restaurants to go to, places to visit. And I think that if we just meet people without such intention that you must be mine and your body is mine, then we can really enrich ourselves and each other with opportunities to just meet amazing people and have great experiences. Not all of them are going to be sexual.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with another in-depth convo, but this time I think it's going to be something everyone wants to know a little more about. That's queer dating. We're with Terry Theory, pop culture commentator. We went through a few different titles, but we're gonna go with that one, but much, much more. So I'm gonna let you lead with who else you are, who else Sir Darius is.
I guess a advocate for the Black same gender loving community, all things feminism, all things Black women, trans. I love
Okay,
it all.
The umbrella.
The umbrella.
So you know I took a deep dive into your social media to find stuff, just to
Not
find
a
more
deep
things.
dive.
A deep dive, and I've been following you for years.
Okay.
So I'm like backtracking. I'm going to the podcast, the YouTube videos,
Ooh.
everything. But I couldn't find much of your private life.
Because it's strategic.
Okay. So how do you date and keep everything private with being so spoken on just things, pop culture and life and stuff like that?
So when I did the podcast, a lot of those scenarios and testimonies and those things that I would share on the podcast was probably stuff that I had already worked through and I had experienced. Even with tweets and like stuff I share on Instagram, it probably has happened to me. I'm just very a storyteller about the way that I put it out there and I frame it.
You did it the lemonade way.
Yeah. Because I've often been accused of like people that I've met and dated. They'd be like, oh, I don't want to be a subject on your podcast or, oh, I don't want to be, in your tweets. So, I tell people, don't play in my face.
Yeah. I won't
This
play in
won't-
yours.
We wouldn't happen to have this.
So are those leading conversations, like when you meet someone and they lead with, oh, I know you do this and this and that?
Yes, so it's a gift and a curse of being, I don't even like to say popular on social media because I just feel like I'm living my life. But some people have a preconceived notion based on the stuff I tweet. Some stuff is funny, some stuff I probably feel in my head. Doesn't necessarily mean I operate that way, but it's just a way, it's an outlet. So.
One thing you did talk about is redirecting rejection.
Ooh.
If you can go and about shooting your shot and what happens when that shot doesn't land.
Yeah. So dating requires an amount of vulnerability. And I think that specifically with gay men, we struggle with vulnerability depending on our past. Some of us have had some like traumatic shit has happened to us, whether we were dating somebody and they cheated and they found the person in the house, you then bought something for somebody and they gave it to somebody else. Like some of the stories and even like in my own friendship circle, some of the things that we've like experienced is like very traumatic.
Yeah.
And either you can let that change how you interact in the space and make you jaded, or you could pivot from it and turn it into a positive and, like understand that everything happens for a reason. Some people don't see the glass half full. So it's hard to be vulnerable given if you're carrying all this weight.
Yeah.
And I think I've come across a lot of people that have
Wait.
they got bags, and it's just like, sweetie, you can't bring all these bags
Yeah.
on this airline.
I
This
feel you
is
with that.
not
Not
gonna
a
work.
bag lady.
Yeah.
Baldwin has a quote that says, "Love is a growing up." Has there any been growing moments that you've had in love?
Yeah. So I'm real big on learning and adapting. I think a lot of the ways that I thought coming up, I come from Louisiana, so it's like small town, and it's mostly females in my family, and all of my cousins like dated drug dealers. I thought that was just like the thing to do.
Young Miami?
And I became coming out like I was attracted to that hyper masculine man, and it's just like, oh, I believe in woman and man.
Oh Lord. You were that person?
The debutante.
Oh Lord.
So coming up that, I used to actually, probably up until college, I used to have this idea that, oh, I can't talk to no butch queen. He has to be straight with a girlfriend. Foolish.
With a girlfriend, he has to be straight?
Foolish. So after going through that whole phase, then, you become open to dating gay men, because at the same time, a part of my thoughts was that being feminine in the gay community, a straight man was probably more inclined to accept me and be more
Being feminine.
than my own community. So after going through that headache and understanding, okay, this ain't working,
Yeah.
let me try the different path. And then my appetite and I guess attraction changed.
Come on, appetite. So I've known you've lived in a few different cities.
Oh.
You've done New York, you've done DC,
LA,
LA.
Dallas,
Okay.
Houston.
Where are the best men at?
Okay. DC. DC has a aura, like the men are grown. You do come across some of the men that are some of the kids that are more focused on what do you do, where your clearance lies, and all that type of thing. But then you have like a set of grown men who it's just more progressive for me. Atlanta is your party place. I lived in New York and I don't think I went on one date because it was so much.
It's a compact, like the
Yeah,
those
like
circles.
even if you get on the app, you got like 15 people within the 0.86 radius, and it's
8
just
of them are your good girlfriend.
so I don't think I didn't go on one date living in New York City. And it's just, it's the city is booming. It's always a house party. You got Brooklyn, you got Harlem, and you got, the random pop-up party. And people are so busy.
So in DC, are you in DC now?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Atlanta's a party place.
So what's your dating style? Like some people can date multiple.
No, I can't
you
do
can
that.
One at a time.
No. I can't do that. I don't have that type of bandwidth.
Me either. I'd be tired.
Yeah, like it's exhausting because I don't have time to check on this person, double back around this person. I'm a little bit traditional in that approach. If I meet somebody and I really feel the dynamic is going really good, I'd rather focus on that than trying to take on other people.
Yeah.
It's just, I hate it.
And in the community, it's just a fact that we have to have conversations and we have to just talk about things.
Yes, you
with
got to ask
partners.
questions. My new thing is how single, when somebody says, you say, are you single? And they say, yes, I'm single. How single are you? Is there anybody out here
Do you have a husband?
that could be claiming you or think they're in a relationship with you?
So how do you feel about open relationships? Because that sounds like
That's not my ministry. No.
I'm learning. I haven't been in one, but as the older I get, I'm less opposed. And most married people I know,
So I say it's not my ministry right now. I don't know what will happen if I be with someone and we're open to that. I'm all about adapting and growing. I don't want to say anything that will close me off from something that I might wind up doing.
Yeah.
And so it may, I don't think it would be necessary, like starting out, this shouldn't be a conversation that we have right now, but you don't know. I think you should design the relationship that works for the best of both of you two, not trying to put what everybody else is doing.
I feel you on that.
But we're not about to be the couple that's like having the little boys all in the same city and then we go out to the
You gotta
party.
have your hoes in other cities.
Yeah,
That's where I gotta go.
you gotta be, because some kids get
So
disrespectful.
you
with it.
monogamous? Oh yeah, they sure do.
Yes,
I've
monogamy
seen
is very important.
it. It is very important. So, as you know, 1 in 2 Black gay men are diagnosed with HIV. I think that's a serious thing even though the world is changing, and I feel like in our lifetime there will be a cure. How do we deal with those issues in dating? And does it even matter anymore?
I don't know. So me being positive, I can tell you my experiences. So probably in the DC area, when I disclose, I will disclose at any time when it's about to get sexual. So in DC, I've had, oh, you didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
I got to Atlanta and either they didn't know what undetectable was or they said it was cool, but then they got weird and I didn't hear from them no more. So there's always that awkwardness. And it's just, I really can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
You just have to be ready once, and I don't take anything personal. I believe
It's just where people are.
and the thing, the most selfish part about it that people don't understand is that when I do disclose, And there's a part of me that have to make you feel comfortable and come to your aid to understand.
Do you think that's fair? Like, is that a lot of work
It
that
is.
you have to do?
It becomes taxing, and it becomes very weird because it's like I'm a freak or something.
Yeah.
Because I have to now make you feel okay with something I've made peace with 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Living in New York, one of my first loves, he had disclosed to me. We were sitting on a subway bench, 3 a.m. in the morning. He disclosed, he's like, I just tested positive. You might want to go get checked. And the way he came to his realization or to acceptance with it is that he thought that was God's will, so he could let the person who gave it to him know. But I was like, I don't think. I think, I just want you to know you are loved anyway. It doesn't matter to me. So having that experience and dating with people, like anyone you date, 1 and 2, someone
Right.
is going to be positive, and now it matters less, or it doesn't matter to me at all, actually, because you can be healthy and you can.
Right.
I think disclosing is a personal thing. I know a lot of people want to know, but if you're healthy and you're keeping me healthy and we're healthy together, that's
Well,
great.
that too, but it's also a legal thing.
Oh yeah,
In certain states. For me, reason why I came out publicly is because I've always seen like in the past where there's a fake Instagram of somebody being made and somebody posted their prescriptions. I didn't want anybody to control my narrative
Yeah.
or tell my story. And once my mom, I got her comfortable with it. It was very much fuck it.
yeah,
And I feel as though you meeting me, you either know head on, then us having the conversation like way, because it's like, when do I say,
yeah.
here it is, we met, we've been chatting, the conversation is really good, and then all
you
of
have
a
to go
sudden,
there, it's
a
like
nude gets
transactional.
dropped, and then you're talking about intention,
Oh,
and it's
new
like,
gets dropped. Okay.
and it's like, okay, so let me put you on notice, and then you say it, and then it's like, how do you even say this through text without thinking that, okay, is this gonna be screenshot to a group chat? Like, it's
Because
so
everything goes through, through the friends, through the friend chat.
it's so much that goes into it and the vulnerability that it requires, and you're waiting for that little bubble to come back, and then even after that, you still have to gauge where they are because that conversation with the sexual may stop, and then you're just waiting, and it's like, okay, so I guess this is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had that happen recently, not recently, but in Atlanta a lot. Yeah, so.
So where are you in your love life right now?
Currently, it's really non-existent in a way, because
Because you're busy, like
yes,
you're doing things.
I got a lot going on. I got about 3 jobs, so focusing on that. But I always say this: I'm probably going to end up with somebody that I've like already been with, because
That old thing.
a new man's stress is a different type of stress. Yes, it is a lot of compromisation, like compromising and adapting, but I have fun. And it's, it's a little scary because it's the new kids call it coasting. And I don't really believe in
Yeah,
coasting.
I'm like, gotta have some intent behind it.
Yeah, like what's okay. So I believe intention is key. Like, what is your intention here? And I've never ever been in a space when it's undefined. And I think maybe in the past, me trying to define it and put a destination on it probably ruined the in the now. So that's what I'm doing right now.
All right.
In the now,
Trying to go with the flow.
coasting on the PCH.
So it's most likely that there will be kids trying to find themselves that are going to see this programming that don't have a roadmap. And we didn't have a roadmap.
Okay.
What would you like to leave maybe 15-year-old queer Black person who wants to date but doesn't have any kind of
It's so many.
mirror?
So dating specifically, trust your gut. Like, you ain't crazy.
Unless you are crazy.
Okay, well, but trust your gut, have discernment. Be open and willing to change and, bend your rules. I believe our generation have gotten so more comfortable in our friendships that our friendships become our relationships.
Yeah.
Because we do everything together. It's nothing for us to go take a trip together, go out to eat together, and we think that we don't need love or relationships, but that's crazy. So being vulnerable, I think it's very important that we step in these situations as our authentic selves. willing to share and be naked, not physically, but naked and transparent with each other.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I've taken a lot of quotables. If I go back into the dating circle, I'm gonna use some of
Are
what
you
you
single
taught me
now?
as hell.
Oh God, okay.
But thank
we
you
gonna
for-
get there.
Yeah, I think I like it. But thank you for talking with me.
No problem.
Where can people find you?
My Twitter is entertaining at Terry Theory, and my Instagram at Terry Theory.
All right.
Yeah, that's where I hang out at most of the time.
Okay. And that was that.
All
Thank
righty.
you. I can just be there to compliment what you already have, and you can be there to compliment what I have. I know I've heard people just trying to rationalize what love is, and they end up coming up with love isn't real, which I hate that people get there.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe their style of loving or being loved hasn't been met yet, and I just want to tell them it's real, but
Love
it's
is
not
very
going to
real.
look like you want it to look.
Yeah.
Maybe I mean, especially for queer folks, because we don't have that roadmap. Like, it can look like what you want it to look like, or it can resemble if you have your high school sweetheart who you marry and you have a baby and a family. Queer people have to think about all that stuff. We often don't even meet each other or have access to each other until we're grown.
Yeah.
And then you gotta think about how you're gonna have the baby. You gotta think about how you're gonna do the family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes the fantasy out of love and it makes it more like a transaction or a thought.
Yeah.
But you're gonna you get to a sweet spot where you're like, this is my person.
Yeah, and I think, we get to actualize our own dreams. That is the radical part of being queer, is that, there's a lot of our lives that are not by choice. But when it comes to who we socialize with, how we love, this is a part of what can be our choice, And I think it all begins by first choosing to really love ourselves. And I hope that people walk away with that, giving themselves permission to love themselves. And I think that as they do that, they can then reflect that onto other people and see when someone's loving them versus projecting. I don't love myself, but you better give me this and you better be this for
Fill
me.
up those empty spots. And that never works.
So, Deviants, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, trying to figure it all out. We are both two single people out here in the
Don't put my
world.
business out there like that.
You can call us at
Singles $1 bill. You can't call me, especially if you got a little bit of money.
1-800-DV.
I'd be poor.
But folks, for real, we want to hear your thoughts. We talk a lot, but our ears are bigger than our mouths. We've got two of them, one of these, and we want to get your thoughts, opinions, and hear about your love lives. You can find the survey at deviant.live/play. You can also find this episode and many more on Deviant TV.
See ya.
See you next time.